All right, everything seems to be in order.
Thank you, officer.
Have a safe night.
The blue lights washed over Elena Brooks' face as she stepped out her car, the night air sharp and unforgiving. She had pulled over on a quiet suburban street to answer a call from her campaign advisor, a call she never got to finish. The patrol car slid in behind her like a predator, doors slamming before she could even raise her hands. Elena kept her voice steady. "Officer, is something wrong?" He didn't answer. He walked in slow, deliberate circles around her car, his flashlight dragging heavily across the windows, as if searching for a crime that didn't exist. His boots scraped the concrete with rhythm that made her pulse tighten. "ID!" he barked, finally facing her, a tall white officer with narrowed eyes and a half-smirk that said he'd already decided who she was. Elena handed over her license with calm she didn't feel. He snatched it, glanced at it briefly, then tossed it onto the hood. "You people never learn," he said quietly. A line like a blade, sharp, meant to cut. Her breath hitched. She felt the weight of those words settle against her ribs. Heavy, familiar. The officer leaned closer, invading her space. "Step back," Elena said, voice low. He grinned. "Or what?" Behind them, a porch light flicked on. Curtains shifted. Someone was watching. Elena's phone, still open inside the car, began to buzz again. Campaign headquarters. Urgent. The officer's hand moved toward his holster. The buzzing stopped. The street went dead silent. And Elena realized he wasn't done. Not even close. Elena Brooks noticed the flashing blue lights only after she ended the call. Her hands froze over the steering wheel as a patrol car crept up behind her, its headlights glaring through her rear window like an interrogation lamp. She whispered to herself, steadying her breath, "Not tonight." She had stopped on the quiet street to review last-minute notes for tomorrow's major announcement, the one that would change her career. But the timing no longer mattered. The moment she saw the patrol car slide into position, she felt her stomach knot in a way she knew too well. Officer Cole Maddox approached her window with slow, deliberate steps. She rolled it down halfway. "Evening, officer. Is there a problem?" He leaned in, gaze sweeping her face before dropping to her hands, her dashboard, her purse. License and registration. His tone felt less like a request and more like an order he enjoyed giving. Elena handed him her documents. "May I ask why I was pulled over?" Maddox smirked. Suspicious behavior. "I was parked." Exactly. The words hit harder than they should have. Elena tried to stay composed. "Sir, I'm just making sure." "Step out of the vehicle," he interrupted. Her chest tightened. "For what reason?" "Because I said so." His flashlight beam slid across her lap, her phone, her notes. Elena swallowed, opened her door, and stepped into the cold night. The air smelled faintly of pine and distant rain. Maddox circled her car again, shining his light into every corner, as if expecting it to confess something she hadn't done. "Where you headed?" he asked. "Home. Long day." "Doing what?" "Work." He stopped, looked her up and down. "Sure doesn't look like you work the kind of job that keeps you out this late." Elena stiffened. "What job do you think that is?" Maddox shrugged. "You tell me." She refused to rise to the bait. "Officer, everything is in order. You saw my license." "Yeah," he said, flicking it with a finger, "but I don't trust it." The heavy insult hung between them. A porch light flicked on from a nearby house. A woman peeked through curtains, then disappeared. A man came out onto his lawn, phone in hand, pretending not to film. "You're making people uncomfortable," Elena said quietly. Maddox stepped closer than necessary. "Only one person here is making anyone uncomfortable." She held her breath. "Your body camera is off." He smiled. "Accident." Elena felt a surge of fear climb her spine. "Please turn on." "Why?" "Planning something." He moved to block her from view of the street. "You're nervous. Makes me wonder what you're hiding." "I'm not hiding anything." "That's what they all say." Her pulse hammered in her ears. She wanted to walk back to her car, shut the door, call her team, but he stood too close. He dragged a finger across the roof of her car. Popped the trunk. No. His eyes sharpened. Is that a refusal? That's a constitutional right, she said. You need cause. Lady, I don't need anything. He leaned in again, whispering, You people always think you're special. The words sliced through her, sharp and deliberate. Elena steadied herself. I'd like to speak to a supervisor. Oh, you will, he said, stepping back and grabbing his radio. Dispatch, send backup. Suspect is uncooperative. Her blood ran cold. Suspect. You heard me. He turned away, leaving her standing alone in the glare of headlights. Elena's phone buzzed inside the car. Her campaign manager, probably panicking about the missed call. She couldn't reach it. Couldn't move. Maddox returned, arms crossed. You're in over your head. She inhaled slowly, grounding herself. And you're abusing your authority. He smiled. Authority's all about perception. The sound of sirens whispered in the distance. Backup was coming, and Elena realized she was no longer dealing with a traffic stop. She was dealing with a man who wanted to teach her a lesson. The distant sirens grew louder, echoing down the quiet neighborhood street, like a slow-moving warning. Elena stood in the wash of headlights, arms crossed tightly against the cold, refusing to let her shaking show. Officer Maddox kept pacing in a line back and forth, as if he owned the pavement beneath them. You brought this on yourself, he said casually. I complied with every order you gave. He stopped pacing. Not the ones that matter. Before she could respond, 2 police cruisers slid to a stop beside his. Doors opened. 3 officers stepped out. 2 older, built like they'd been on the force for years, and a young one barely past training. The rookie, his name tag read Walker. Maddox lifted a hand. Evening, boys. We've got a situation. Elena watched Walker's eyes flick over her, the fear in her posture, the stress in her breathing, the way Maddox stood too close. Something in the rookie's expression tightened. One of the senior officers, Harris, approached Maddox. What'd she done? Eluding, suspicious behavior, possible agitation. Maddox replied without hesitation. Elena stepped forward. I have not eluded anything. I was parked. He approached me. Harris didn't look at her. Ma'am, please don't interrupt. I'm allowed to speak. Maddox smirked. She'd been argumentative since I stopped her. Walker shifted. He looked at Elena properly now, not as a suspect, but as a person. Ma'am, did he tell you why he initiated the stop? No, Elena said, because there is no reason. He demanded I exit the vehicle and refused to turn on his body cam. Harris waved a dismissive hand. Ma'am, just calm down. I am calm, she said. You're not listening. Maddox leaned toward the rookie. Rookie, check her car. Walker hesitated. Do we have probable cause? Maddox's eyes sharpened. Did I stutter? Elena held her breath as Walker approached her car. His steps were slow, as if each one pressed against his conscience. He didn't open the door. Instead, he turned back. Her keys aren't out, he murmured. Car's locked. Then tell her to unlock it, Harris said. Walker's jaw worked. He didn't speak. Maddox took over. Ma'am, unlock the car. Now. Elena steadied herself. No, you have no cause. Harris stepped in front of her. If you refuse, that's obstruction. It's not obstruction to assert my rights. Maddox laughed under his breath. She thinks she's a lawyer now. Elena inhaled deeply. I don't have to be a lawyer to know the Constitution. For a moment, silence hung in the air, tense, electric. Then her phone rang again from inside the car, a muffled vibration, insistent. Maddox snapped his fingers. Hey, don't touch that. I wasn't touching anything. That sounded like movement. It's my phone ringing. And you expect me to believe that? Walker took a small step toward Maddox. She's standing still. Maddox rounded on the rookie. I didn't ask you. Walker swallowed hard, shame and frustration tightening his jaw. Neighbors emerged quietly onto porches, some with phones lifted. The scene was turning into a spectacle. Elena felt their eyes on her, some sympathetic, some merely curious, all hesitant. Elena turned to Harris. Am I being detained? You are until we finish our assessment. What assessment? He searched my car with a flashlight. He looked at my license. He found nothing. Maddox walked toward her, voice low. You keep talking like you've got something to hide. She met his stare and held it. The only thing I'm hiding is my fear. And you're counting on that. Harris stepped between them. Okay, everyone just slow it down. No, Maddox snapped. She's playing innocent. Elena breathed through the pressure in her chest. Officer, if you have no lawful reason to detain me, you must let me go. Maddox's smirk vanished. You're not going anywhere. Walker shifted again, uncomfortable. His hand hovered near his own body cam, and Elena noticed something. His camera was on. A faint red light blinked steadily. Walker knew it too. He spoke carefully. Officer Maddox, your body camera, it's still off. Harris turned sharply. Is that true? Maddox shrugged. Glitch. Happens. It's department policy to confirm function before any interaction, Harris said tightly. Maddox raised his voice. Glitch, I said. Elena watched the exchange, her heart pounding. Walker lifted his chin slightly. Mine recorded everything since I arrived. Maddox glared at him. A warning wrapped in silence. Harris suddenly looked uneasy. Maddox, maybe we should... No, Maddox said. She's hiding something. I can feel it. You can't feel probable cause, Elena said quietly. Maddox spun toward her. Unlocked the car. Final warning. No. Harris exhaled sharply. Maddox, back off. And let her walk? Maddox barked. No chance. The rookie stepped in slightly beside Elena, not fully defending her, but no longer aligned with Maddox's aggression. Maddox's radio crackled. Dispatch called. Requesting status update. Supervisor en route. Elena's heartbeat slowed for the first time since the stop began. A supervisor meant oversight. Maddox's face hardened. Great. Now she gets to play victim. She's not playing. Walker said under his breath. Maddox turned on him. Keep talking, rookie, and see where it gets you. Walker didn't answer. But he didn't step back either. Elena felt the shift. Small, subtle, but real. Bystanders filming. A rookie recording. A supervisor on the way. Maddox felt it too. He stepped toward Elena one last time. You think someone's going to save you? Her voice didn't shake. No, but someone's going to see you. The sirens grew louder, approaching fast. Maddox's jaw twitched, and for the first time, he looked afraid. The supervisor arrived less than 3 minutes later, but the consequences of that night began unfolding long before he stepped out of his car. By the time Elena reached home, escorted, shaken, silent, the first videos were already online. A shaky recording from a neighbor's porch, another from someone across the street, a third clip clearer, capturing the exact moment Officer Maddox said, "You people never learn." The sound hit the internet like a struck match. Within an hour, hashtags formed. Strangers reposted, reshared, rewound. The comments flooded beneath every clip. Who is she? This is why we protest. Officer Maddox again. This man has priors. She handled that like a queen. Elena sat at the edge of her couch, still in her blazer, arms wrapped around herself. The house felt smaller than usual, too quiet, too controlled. Her phone lay beside her, buzzing nonstop with texts from her team. Marcus, campaign manager, call me the second you're ready. Everyone's panicking. Asha, communications director, please tell me that wasn't you in the video. Elena didn't respond. She stared at the paused footage on her television. Her own face filled the screen, tired, tense, illuminated by blue lights. Then Maddox stepping in, chest out, voice sharp, her stomach twisted. She muted the sound and covered her mouth with her hand. A soft knock broke the silence. Her younger sister, Talia, stepped in cautiously. You didn't answer my texts, Talia whispered. I know. Elena kept her eyes on the floor. Talia sat beside her, placing a gentle hand on her back. You okay? Well, no, you're not. But are you breathing? Trying, Elena said softly. Another knock, this time louder, came from a front door, followed by Marcus calling through it. Elena, it's me. Please. Talia rose and let him in. Marcus looked frantic, tie loosened, glasses crooked. Elena, why didn't you call? We've been scrambling for hours. It hasn't been hours, she murmured. It has online. Marcus exhaled sharply. Listen, the video is everywhere. National accounts are picking it up. People are asking for your statement, your safety, your identity. Elena closed her eyes. I'm not giving a statement. Marcus paused. Not yet. Not at all. Not tonight. Talia shot him a look. She just got home. Give her a minute. But Marcus wasn't finished. There's more. Someone leaked internal info anonymously. Says the officer turned off his body cam on purpose. Elena's eyes opened. Who leaked it? No name, Marcus said, but I think it was a rookie. The timestamps match his shift. Elena swallowed. He tried to intervene. Marcus sat down across from her. We can use this. No, Elena said instantly. Marcus frowned. This is exactly what we talked about. You were going to announce your candidacy tomorrow. This cannot be the reason people listen to me, she said firmly. Talia nodded. She's right. Marcus rubbed his forehead. Elena, the public already knows. They're connecting dots. They're going to find out you're the woman in the video. It'll break in hours, maybe less. Elena stared at her reflection in the dark television screen. She didn't look like a woman running for office. She looked like someone who had barely escaped something she couldn't name. She whispered, I don't want this to define me. It won't, Marcus said. But you need to control the narrative before the department does. Elena's chest tightened again, the same weight she felt on that street, under those lights. She changed the subject. What's Maddox saying? Marcus's expression darkened. The department released a statement. They're calling it a routine stop. Claim you were visibly agitated. They won't name you yet. Elena laughed once, bitter and quiet. Agitated. Talia squeezed her hand. You were terrified. Elena nodded slowly. Yes, but they can't admit that. Marcus leaned forward. Elena, what do you want to do? She didn't answer immediately. She stood, walked toward her window, and stared out at the street. The same kind of street where it happened. Calm, quiet, normal. A lie. Her voice came out soft but sharp. Tonight, I want nothing. I just want to breathe. Marcus nodded reluctantly. Okay, I'll handle media. Don't check your phone. Don't open the news. But as he gathered his things, another alert pinged from Elena's muted phone. A headline flashed across the screen. Who was the woman in the traffic stop video? She exhaled shakily. Talia whispered, You're going to get through this. Elena didn't reply, because deep down, she knew something undeniable. This wasn't the end of what happened on that street. It was only the beginning. By morning, the sun rose into a storm of headlines. Elena woke to her phone, vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. She didn't reach for it. She didn't need to. The muffled buzzes and relentless notifications told her everything. The story had broken, and her name was out. Voices from downstairs drifted up, Marcus, Asha, and Talia speaking in low, urgent tones. She forced herself out of bed, splashed cold water on her face, and walked down. Asha looked up first. You're on every news site, every feed. Talia added softly, They know it's you. Elena nodded, steadying herself. I expected that. Marcus grimaced. You need to sit down for this one. The police department held a press briefing. Elena's breath caught. Already? Asha turned on the television. The police chief filled the screen. Gray hair, starched uniform, polished podium. His expression was firm, measured, and deeply familiar. The face of a man who wanted to appear reasonable while protecting his own. The officer conducted a routine safety assessment, Chief Darren Cole was saying, and the civilian appeared agitated, making it difficult for officers to ensure their own safety. The situation escalated due to unclear communication. Elena swallowed hard, agitated. Asha snorted. You were calm enough to put therapists to shame. Chief Cole continued. We asked the public not to rush to judgment. Online videos do not show full context. We will conduct an internal review. Marcus muted the television. Translation? They're circling the wagons. Elena sat back, pulse tightening. Where's Maddox in all this? Asha sighed. Protected. Patrol officer for 8 years. Multiple complaints, 0 consequences. And the union's already backing him. Marcus slid a folder across the table. This is what they use to shield people like him. Legal barriers. Union protections. Administrative loopholes. Elena opened it. Grievance forms, past complaints, internal memos. All the same phrases. Insufficient evidence. No policy violation observed. Subject could not be located. She whispered. They've been covering him for years. Marcus nodded. And they'll do it again unless you speak. Elena closed the folder. Not yet. Marcus exhaled, frustrated. You're missing the moment. I'm missing nothing, Elena said. I refuse to make this about politics. Asha leaned forward, voice gentler. This isn't about politics. It's about truth. Before Elena could respond, her phone vibrated again. A message from an unknown number. You should have just done what you were told. CM. Elena's stomach dropped. Talia grabbed the phone. Is that him? Elena nodded slowly. He must have got my number from the incident report. Marcus's face hardened. He's scared. He's trying to intimidate you. Elena sat carefully, every motion controlled. Then he's not as protected as he thinks. Across town, Officer Cole Maddox sat in the Union office, arms crossed, jaw tight. Union Rep Martin Reyes stood over him, voice low. You need to stay quiet. Maddox scoffed. I didn't do anything wrong. Reyes pinched the bridge of his nose. You turned off your body cam. That alone is a procedural violation. It was a glitch, Maddox insisted. Internal affairs doesn't buy glitches. Maddox stood. You saw the videos. Everyone's blowing it out of proportion. She wouldn't cooperate. Reyes's tone sharpened. This isn't about her cooperating. This is about who she is. Maddox frowned. She's just some woman. Reyes stepped closer. She's not just some woman. She's a political strategist with a national network. And from what I'm hearing, she's about to run for statewide office. Maddox's expression froze. What? Yeah, Reyes said grimly. You picked the wrong target. Maddox felt heat rising up his neck. So what? I was doing my job. Reyes shook his head. No, you were doing too much of your job, and now you're jeopardizing ours. For the first time since the incident, Maddox felt something unfamiliar. Fear. We'll shield you, Reyes said, but only if you lie low. No interviews, no statements, no phone calls. Maddox stiffened. She provoked me. Reyes's eyes narrowed. Did you contact her? Maddox hesitated. Reyes's voice dropped to a growl. If you reached out to her, that could end everything. Maddox turned away, jaw clenched, offering no answer. But his silence was enough. Reyes exhaled, defeated. This is going to get messy. Back at Elena's house, Marcus finalized plans. Press keeps calling. They want your reaction. Elena's voice remained firm. They can wait. I'm not stepping into their manufactured narrative. Talia, touch her arm. But people are waiting for your voice. Elena met her sister's eyes. I know. She walked to the window. Outside, a group of reporters had already gathered beyond her driveway. Microphones, cameras, notebooks. A different kind of pressure. A different kind of fear. Elena whispered, let them wait. I will speak when I am ready. Marcus nodded reluctantly. Then decide soon, because if you don't tell your story. Asha finished the sentence quietly. The institution will tell it for you. Elena closed her eyes, steadying herself against the truth she hated. They were already trying. Elena stood behind the stage curtain, palms pressed flat against her thighs, grounding herself through the tremor running up her arms. The auditorium lights glowed through the fabric. Beyond them, hundreds of people, allies, reporters, strangers, waited in a hush so thick it felt like a hell breath. Marcus stood beside her, tablet in hand, whispering, "You don't have to do this." "Yes," Elena said quietly. "I do." Asha stepped closer, adjusting the lapel of Elena's blazer. "They're ready when you are. The cameras are live." Elena inhaled deeply. She had slept barely 2 hours. Her mind had replayed the traffic stop on a loop. Maddox leaning in, the beam of his flashlight, the contempt in his voice. "You people never learn." She pushed the memory down and stepped forward. As she walked onto the stage, a rise of applause began, not loud, not triumphant, but steady, respectful, resonant. She reached the podium. The room dimmed. The live stream light blinked red. She placed her hands on the podium and began. "Last night, I experienced something I've experienced before, but never this publicly." Her voice was soft, but it carried. She continued, "I was pulled over without cause. I was spoken to with hostility, accused without reason, and treated as a threat before I had uttered a word. I was calm. I was compliant, but I was not safe. Murmurs spread like ripples. Elena breathed through it and pressed on. I did not expect the videos to go viral. I did not expect the country to ask, 'Who is she? What happened?' But since you are all asking, here's my answer." Cameras zoomed in. Comment counters climbed on livestream feeds. Social media erupted in real time. "I have spent my entire career working behind the scenes," Elena said, "writing policies, advising leaders, fighting for reform from within the system. But last night showed me something I can't ignore." She leaned in slightly. "No matter our titles, degrees, income, or zip code for Black Americans, dignity is conditional. Safety is conditional. Being believed is conditional." Walker, the rookie officer, watched from a quiet corner of the auditorium. He hadn't been invited officially. He stood in the shadows, uniform jacket folded over his arm, guilt etched into his young face. Elena continued, "I will not name the officer. This is larger than him. What happened last night is not an isolated moment. It is a mirror, a reflection of a system that shields misconduct, punishes whistleblowers, and blames victims." Maddox watched the broadcast from his living room, jaw clenching. "Liar," he muttered at the screen, though a hint of uncertainty flickered behind his eyes. Elena's voice steadied. "I am not here to escalate. I am not here to fan outrage. I am here to speak truth." She paused, letting the silence sharpen the moment. "Last night I was afraid that I might not make it home. Afraid that a man with authority would decide I did not deserve respect. Afraid that any movement I made could be interpreted as threat." In the first row, Talia blinked rapidly, holding back tears. "But I'm here today, and I refuse to pretend nothing happened." A beat. Then Elena said the words she had been carrying for hours. "I refuse to be silent." The audience inhaled as one. "This moment is not about revenge," Elena said. "It is about accountability. It is about transparency. It is about ensuring that no officer can turn off a body camera without consequence, that no department can hide behind rehearsed statements, that no citizen should fear a routine encounter with law enforcement." Her voice deepened, filled with something older than anger, something like resolve. "And if speaking out costs me politically, professionally, or personally, then so be it, because the cost of silence has always been higher." Reporters typed furiously. Flashbulbs blazed. Live stream numbers surged past 1 million viewers. Elena stepped back slightly and closed her statement with a deliberate calm. "I share my story not because I want sympathy, but because I want change. I want structural reform, real oversight, and a justice system that protects rather than punishes. This is not the end of my journey. This is the beginning." She bowed her head slightly. "Thank you." The applause rose, louder now, fuller, not polite but fierce. People stood. Talia wiped her eyes. Asha let out a shaky breath. Marcus whispered, "You did it." The moment should have felt triumphant. It didn't, because as Elena walked off stage, her body trembled. The adrenaline drained. replaced by a cold emptiness she couldn't shake. Walker approached her quietly backstage. "Ms. Brooks!" She turned, surprised. "Officer Walker?" He looked down, voice trembling. I wanted to say I'm sorry for not doing more." "You spoke up," she said gently. "You recorded. That matters." It didn't feel like enough. It was more than many would have done. He nodded, eyes glassy. "Internal Affairs questioned me this morning. They know Maddox turned off his body cam on purpose." Elena's breath caught. "And they're opening a full investigation." For the first time that day, hope flickered inside her, but Walker wasn't finished. "Maddox is angry. At me. At you. At everyone." Elena felt a chill. "Be careful," Walker whispered. She nodded slowly. "You too." Walker slipped away before reporters noticed him, leaving Elena alone with her thoughts. Asha hurried over. "Elena, networks want interviews. Morning shows. Evening shows. Everyone." "Not tonight," Elena whispered. "Not after this." Marcus stepped in. "We'll handle it." Elena nodded, but as she looked around, the cameras, the crowd, the attention, she felt the weight of something new settling on her shoulders. Not fear, responsibility. Tonight, she had broken her silence. Tomorrow, the fight would begin. The hearing room was colder than Elena expected. Too bright, too sterile, humming faintly with overhead fluorescent lights. She sat at the long conference table beside her attorney, hands folded carefully in her lap. Across from her, Officer Cole Maddox slouched in his chair, jaw set, eyes burning with resentment. Internal Affairs investigators moved quietly through stacks of files and printed reports. A digital recorder blinked red on the table. "Ms. Brooks," the lead investigator began, "we appreciate your cooperation. We're here to review the events of the night in question. This is not a disciplinary hearing, but your testimony is essential." Elena nodded. "I understand." Maddox scoffed under his breath. The investigator looked at him sharply. "Officer Maddox, you'll have your turn." Maddox leaned back, arms crossed. "Can't wait." Elena refused to look at him directly. Not yet. Even seeing him again made her pulse spike. Her chest tightened the way it had on the street. She inhaled slowly, grounding herself. The investigator continued. "Ms. Brooks, please describe the moment you became aware your stop was not routine." "When he approached my window," Elena said. "He didn't state a reason for the stop. He only demanded my license. His tone was hostile from the beginning." Maddox cut in. "You were rude." "No," Elena said calmly. "I was scared." The investigator raised a hand. "Officer, you will wait for your turn." Maddox muttered something Elena couldn't fully hear, but she caught one word. "People." Her attorney leaned toward her. "Stay focused. They're watching him unravel." Elena continued. "When I asked why I'd been stopped, he said I looked suspicious. I was parked legally. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't violating anything." One of the investigators flipped a page of a report. "We reviewed the footage from Officer Walker's body cam. It corroborates your account." Elena nodded, though her heartbeat quickened at the mention of the rookie. His courage had started all of this. "Now," the investigator said, turning to Maddox, "Officer Walker's body cam shows your camera was disabled during the stop." Maddox shrugged. "Glitch. Your log shows no malfunction report." "Forgot. Your camera was functioning earlier in the shift. Must have shut off." Officer Walker stated he reminded you twice about it. Maddox's jaw twitched. "Rookie's lying." Elena felt heat rise inside her. She turned, finally, and faced him. "He's telling the truth," she said evenly. Maddox locked eyes with her. "You don't get to talk to me like that." Her attorney sat straighter. "She will talk exactly as she needs to. This is a hearing." The lead investigator interjected. "Officer Maddox, your pattern of complaints." "Complaints filed by troublemakers," Maddox snapped. "People who resist. People who cause scenes." Elena inhaled sharply. "People like me?" Maddox's lips curled. "If the shoe fits." The room froze. The investigator leaned forward. "Officer, You are not helping yourself. Maddox's eyes stayed locked on Elena. Something cold and ugly simmered beneath the surface. Let the record show, the investigator said. The officer's hostility is evident. He turned to Elena again. Ms. Brooks, did Officer Maddox at any point physically threaten you? No, she said, but he stood close. Too close. He blocked my movement and ignored my requests. Did he attempt to search your vehicle? Yes, without probable cause. Her voice remained steady, but her hands were trembling under the table. Maddox smirked. Look at her, playing victim. Her attorney slammed a hand down. Enough. The investigator raised a hand. Officer Maddox, you will refrain from commentary. One more interruption, and we will ask you to leave the room. Maddox muttered darkly, but fell silent. The investigator shifted his attention. Officer Walker, you may enter. The rookie stepped into the room, looking nervous but determined. His eyes flicked to Elena briefly. Concern, apology, resolve, all mixed together. Officer Walker, the investigator said, please confirm your statement regarding the stop. Walker swallowed. Officer Maddox initiated the stop without explanation. His body cam was off. Mine recorded everything. Maddox leaned forward. You little... Officer, the investigator said sharply. Sit back. Walker continued. Ms. Brooks was calm. She asked questions, but she followed instructions. Officer Maddox escalated the situation. He asked me to search her car without cause. Lies, Maddox whispered. Walker raised his voice just slightly. He also said... He hesitated. The investigator encouraged him. Go on. Walker looked directly at Maddox, then back at Elena. He said she was one of those people who needed to be taught a lesson. Elena's breath caught. Her attorney stiffened. That's on record now. Maddox slammed his fist on the table. You traitor. Two investigators stood quickly. Officer Maddox, you're excused. Immediately, Maddox pushed back his chair with a harsh scrape. This isn't over, he hissed, glaring at Elena and Walker before storming out. The door slammed. The room exhaled collectively. The investigator turned to Elena. Ms. Brooks, thank you. We'll continue our internal review, but your testimony and Officer Walker's account are critical. This is serious misconduct. Elena nodded slowly, relief mixed with exhaustion. Thank you. Walker approached her after the investigator stepped aside. I'm sorry, he said softly. I didn't want to let him get away with it. She met his eyes. You did the right thing. His voice cracked slightly. I hope it's enough. Elena placed a steady hand on his arm. Your courage opened the first crack. The rest will follow. As she walked out of the building into the cool afternoon air, cameras waited at the edge of the sidewalk. She ignored them, focusing instead on the one truth pulsing in her chest. The system was finally starting T. The news broke before sunset. Officer Cole Maddox, suspended pending investigation body cam violation. Confirmed witness, officer testifies against colleague. The headline spread like wildfire, igniting debates on social media, cable news, and every corner of the internet. Elena watched none of it, but she felt its weight. The world was shifting, grinding, recalibrating, and she was at the center of its axis. She sat on her living room couch, clutching a still warm mug of tea, staring blankly at the far wall. Sleep had been elusive. Each time she closed her eyes, Maddox's face appeared in the darkness. The knock on her door made her jump. Talia stepped in, worry etched deeply across her brow. You haven't eaten. I'm fine. You're shaking. Elena looked down. Her fingertips trembled against a ceramic mug. It's just adrenaline. It's trauma, Talia said gently. You don't have to pretend with me. Elena closed her eyes, letting the words sink in. She knew her sister was right. Courage didn't erase fear. Truth didn't erase scars. Before she could reply, Marcus rushed inside, phone in hand. It's official, he announced. Suspension. Internal Affairs recommended criminal review. Elena swallowed hard. So it's really happening. Everyone is distancing themselves from him. Marcus said. Union reps are avoiding interviews. Officers are refusing to comment. His own precinct issued a statement calling for integrity and accountability. That's basically code for we're done protecting him. Elena nodded slowly. Good. But her voice lacked triumph. Asha arrived moments later, tossing her bag down. Media want exclusive interviews. Morning shows, primetime, podcasts. No, Elena said quietly. No, for now or no in general? No tonight. Elena rubbed her temples. Not until I can breathe again. The room fell silent. Asha lowered her voice. You don't have to be strong right now. You just have to be human. Elena nodded, eyes glassy. I'm trying. Across town, Maddox sat alone in his dim apartment, staring at the letter on his table. Suspension without pay. His badge lay beside it. His phone buzzed with messages he ignored. Colleagues avoiding him. Friends unsure what to say. Strangers hurling insults. The world had turned on him. The department had abandoned him. Even Reyes, the union rep, had left him with a curt voicemail. There's nothing more we can do. Maddox gripped his badge, fingers trembling with rage. All because of her. But even as bitterness rose, fear crept behind it, because he knew what was coming, and he couldn't stop it. Meanwhile, Elena walked to the backyard patio, seeking fresh air. The night was warm, cicadas humming in the trees. She sat at the small wooden bench her father had built years ago. Her mother's voice echoed through memory. Strength isn't loud, baby. Strength is choosing to stand when the world tries to fold you. She exhaled slowly. Talia followed her outside. Talk to me? Elena hesitated. I can't sleep. I can't think. Every time I close my eyes, I hear his voice again. Talia sat beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. That fear won't last forever. It feels like it, Elena whispered. Some nights when I'm driving, I hesitate before making a turn. I check my mirrors too many times. I stop breathing when I pass a patrol car. Talia held her closer. That's not weakness. That's lived experience. Elena let a shaky breath escape. And tomorrow I'm supposed to lead make speeches reform systems when I can't even trust the sound of sirens. Then don't lead tomorrow, Talia said softly. To survive today. The words loosened something inside Elena, a knot she'd been holding since that night. She leaned her head on Talia's shoulder, whispering, I don't know if I can do this. Yes, you can, Talia said firmly. Not because you're fearless, but because you're wounded and still moving forward. Elena closed her eyes. A tear slipped down her cheek, but it didn't feel like defeat. It felt like release. Later that night, Elena stepped back inside to find a small handwritten note on her counter. From Officer Walker, for what it's worth, you changed something. Keep going. She held the note to her chest. For the first time in days, her breath felt like her own. Tomorrow would bring the next battle. The final hearing, the confrontation with Maddox, the decision that would echo statewide. But tonight, in the quiet, surrounded by the people who loved her, Elena allowed herself something rare, a moment of peace. The final hearing wasn't held in a back room or a quiet conference space. It took place in a large municipal auditorium, usually reserved for city council meetings. Because this time, the public demanded transparency. The building buzzed with tension. Reporters set up cameras. Community members filled every seat. Officers lined the back wall in uniform, their faces unreadable. Lena felt the weight of hundreds of unspoken expectations pressing down on her as she walked with her attorney toward the front row. She didn't feel powerful. She felt exposed. But she kept walking. Across the room, Maddox sat flanked by union lawyers. His hair was unkempt, his posture rigid, his eyes hard with resentment. He didn't look like a man ready to defend himself. He looked like a man drowning. The hearing board entered. Silence rippled across the room. The chairperson spoke into the microphone. We are here to determine disciplinary action regarding Officer Cole Maddox of misconduct, use of authority without cause, failure to activate body camera, and violation of departmental policy. Maddox shifted. His jaw ticked. The chairperson turned to Elena. Ms. Brooks, your statement. Elena rose, smoothing her blazer. Her steps were steady, though her heartbeat thudded like a drum inside her chest. She stood at the podium and faced the board, but also the rows of people watching, waiting. "I've spoken publicly already," she began softly. "But this is different. This is official. This is sworn. So I will be brief." Cameras leaned in. Not a single cough or rustle broke the quiet. "On that night," she continued, "I feared for my safety. Not because I was guilty, not because I resisted, but because I was treated as a threat before I even opened my mouth." Maddox scoffed audibly, but no one looked at him. "The body cam footage from Officer Walker shows what happened. My own testimony supports it. But this is not just about me. This is about a system that allowed Officer Maddox to treat me, and it seems others, as less than deserving of dignity." She inhaled, voice tightening. "I stand here today not for revenge, but for accountability, because accountability is the only path to change." She stepped back. For a moment, she saw Waker in the crowd. He gave a small, respectful nod. Her strength steadied. The board turned to Maddox. "Officer Maddox, your defense." He stood, shoulders squared. "I did my job," he growled. "She talks pretty up there, but she's twisting everything. I saw someone acting strange in a parked car. I approached. She gave attitude. That's all." The union attorney placed a warning hand on his arm, but Maddox jerked it away. "I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being painted as some monster because she's—" He caught himself too late. The board chair leaned forward. "Because she's what, officer?" Maddox's mouth opened, closed. He looked trapped. The chair's expression hardened. "Your record shows 8 complaints in 3 years. A pattern of hostility, inappropriate remarks, and escalation without cause. You turned off your camera despite repeated reminders. You lied in your written report. You attempted to intimidate a civilian after the incident." Maddox clenched his fists. "I didn't think it would go this far." The chair said quietly, "That is the problem." A murmur spread across the room. Officer Walker was called next. He stepped forward, hands clasped. "Everything in my report is accurate," Walker said softly. Ms. Brooks followed instructions. Officer Maddox escalated. "And I didn't speak up soon enough. I regret that." Elena felt her chest tighten, not in fear, but in empathy. Walker was young, but brave in ways he probably didn't even understand yet. The board recessed briefly. When they returned, the room fell still. The chair read the findings. "Officer Cole Maddox is hereby terminated from duty, effective immediately." Gasps burst across the auditorium. Cameras flashed. Whispers spread like electricity. Maddox surged to his feet. "You can't fire me. You can't." 2 officers stepped forward to escort him out. He jerked away, but they maintained control. His voice echoed, unraveling into incoherent shouts before the door slammed behind him. Silence followed. A long, heavy silence. Then the chair turned to Elena. "Ms. Brooks, we acknowledge the harm done to you. We also thank you for your courage." Elena nodded, emotion burning behind her eyes. She sat slowly, exhaling a breath she'd been holding since the night of the stop. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Hours later, outside the building, a crowd had gathered. Supporters, activists, neighbors, strangers, all waiting for her. Microphones thrust forward as she stepped into the sunlight. Marcus whispered, "Elena, you don't have to speak. You've done enough." But Elena shook her head. "No," she said softly. "Today matters. For all of us." She stepped forward. The crowd quieted instantly. "Elena, what's your reaction?" a reporter shouted. She let the question hang before answering in a calm, resonant voice. "Today is not about celebration. It is about recognition. Recognition that accountability can exist even when the system tries to prevent it." Flashbulbs exploded. "What happens next?" another reporter asked. Elena lifted her chin. "Change happens next. Oversight, reform, protection for whistleblowers. And I intend to be part of that fight." A final reporter called out, "Ms. Brooks, does this mean you're officially announcing your run for state office?" Elena felt the wind move around her, warm and gentle. Her fear hadn't vanished, but it had transformed into resolve, into purpose, into something unbreakable. She stepped forward, eyes steady. "Yes," she said, "I am." The crowd erupted. Applause, cheers, camera shutters clicking like rapid heartbeat. Elena stood in the middle of it all. Not as a victim, not as a symbol, but as a leader emerging from fire. Poetic justice had been served. Not by force, not by fury, but by truth. And truth, she knew now, was stronger than fear.